Om Jnanantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Shwapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sudhe Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Prabhuji. We are reading from the first canto, chapter 15, and the chapter 15 is about the Pandavas retiring timely. And today's text is text 15, Prabhuji. Should I hand over to you now, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Thank you.
To speak the two auspicious mantras.
Yes.
Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narutam Kim Saraswatim Vyasa Tato Jaya Buddhi Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Buddhayam Shloki Text 15. Yo Bhishmakarna Guru Salya Chamushat Abhad Adab Rajanya Varya Ratha Mandala Manditashu Agrecharo Mama Viboratta Yutapanam Ayur Manam Si Chadrisha Saha Oja Archat. Translation. It was he only who withdrew the duration of life from everyone and who, in the battlefield, withdrew the speculative power and strength of enthusiasm from the great military flanks made by the Kauravas, headed by Bhishma, Karna, Drona, Shalya, etc. Their arrangement was expert and more than adequate, but he, Lord Shri Krishna, while going forward, did all this. Mother, you can read the purport, or somebody can read the purport here.
Is there anyone who would like to read the purport? Okay, if not, then I will read. The purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The absolute personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, expands himself by his plenary Paramatma portion in everyone's heart, and thus he directs everyone in the matter of recollection, forgetfulness, knowledge, and the absence of intelligence, and all psychological activities. Bhagavad Gita 15.15. As a Supreme Lord, he can increase or decrease the duration of life of a living being. Thus, the Lord conducted the battle of Kurukshetra according to his own plan. He wanted that battle to establish Yudhishthira as the emperor of this planet, and to facilitate this transcendental business, he killed all who were on the opposite party by his omnipotent will. The other party was equipped by all military strength, supported by big generals like Bhishma, Drona, Salya, and it would have been physically impossible for Arjuna to win the battle had the Lord not helped him by every kind of tactic. Such tactics are generally followed by every statesman, and even in modern warfare, but they are all done materially by powerful espionage, military tactics, and diplomatic maneuvers. But because Arjuna was the Lord's affectionate devotee, the Lord did all this himself without personal anxiety by Arjuna. That is the way of the devotional service to the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. We read the verse again. It was he only who withdrew the duration of life from everyone, and who, in the battlefield, withdrew the speculative power and the strength of the enthusiasm from the great military phalanx made by the Kauravas, headed by Bhishma, Karna, Drona, Salya, etc. Their arrangement was expert and more than adequate, but he, Lord Shri Krishna, while going forward, did all this. Shri Prabhupada is explaining that Krishna is residing in everyone's heart. There are two particular verses in Bhagavad Gita. One is quoted here. Sharva Shachaham Ridisha Nivishto Matha Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha Vedisi Dullabham Adullabham Atma Bhakto. Sorry. Vedisi Sarvam Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Krit Vedvida Epachaham. From Krishna comes memory, knowledge, and it is he who makes people forget. So imagine three activities are done with us constantly in each one of us. And we have this experience that sometimes, even after knowing everything, we forget. It takes some time before it actually comes in our mind. Who does this? Is Krishna as Paramatma. Same Krishna as Paramatma. He makes us forget everything. We know it and yet we forget everything. I sometimes give you an example that sometimes a student, when he goes to exam, even after doing all the revision, upon looking at the paper and the questions, the mind goes blank. And then it takes time before he could recollect everything and answer the paper. And the third one is, it is he who gives knowledge. One should not be proud if one has knowledge, that it is my knowledge. You know, even knowledge comes from Krishna. So it says, from me comes remembrance, forgetfulness, and knowledge. Everything is done by Krishna. And because he's doing all these things, he could make people forget their enthusiasm. The names are given of Bhishma, Karna, Drona, Salya. If you go to the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we find Duryodhana going to his spiritual master, Dronacharya, in a very diplomatic way, and trying to explain to Dronacharya, oh, look at the army of Pandavas, the way it has been arranged by your disciple. He's trying to taunt Dronacharya in a very sarcastic language. Because what happened is, the army of the Pandavas were arranged by Drashtadyumna, who is the brother of Draupadi. And Drashtadyumna happened to come and learn from Dronacharya. And imagine Drashtadyumna's father, Drupal, was actually enemy of Dronacharya. They were not in good terms. Anyway, Brahmin is always very generous, very broad-minded. So when he came to learn knowledge, Dronacharya taught him. And it is he who remained the commander of chiefs, Senapati we call him, throughout the 18 days of the war. Whereas on the side of the Kauravas, they were changing. As far as you know, first 10 days it was Bhishma, later on it was Karna, then it was Kripacharya, and in the end it was Ashwatthama. So the captain or the general was changing, but as far as the Pandavas are concerned, nothing was changing. He remained constant, and he didn't die. He was killed in a cold blood. So anyway, we can learn this in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that Duryodhana trying to give the strength of the Pandavas, indirectly is telling Dronacharya, look at Pandavas. They only are two powerful heroes, and that is Bhima and Arjuna. Whereas on our side, we have powerful Bhishma, Karna, Drona, and Ashwatthama. All these are very, very powerful heroes. Now, what role did Krishna play? When he came on the battlefield, he withdrew their enthusiasm. Now, without enthusiasm, you can't do anything. Even in material life, you need enthusiasm. So even in the war, you need enthusiasm. You find that in any military or any military formation, there's always a captain. And it is the captain who gives or instills enthusiasm in the whole of the army, especially by speech. He speaks in such a way that people become empowered. Yes, all of you know in the modern history, what was special about Hitler was his speech. He was just a short man, and he could have conquered the whole world if he wanted to. This Hitler, the specialty of Hitler was his speech. The way he would speak and enthusiasm in whole of the German army, the Germans practically captured everything. They conquered the Europe, and they failed after going into Russia, because the Russians were more powerful. Had the winter not come, they would have even conquered Russia. At that time, there was winter. So anyway, that is our history. But talking about Hitler is very powerful in his speech. The moment he will speak, everyone would follow. So it depends on the leadership. Even today, leadership matters a lot. Even in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he said, Yad yad acharita shrishta tat tat eva tarojana. Whatever great men do, the common men follow. So in the similar way, we find that Dronacharya was very, very, not Duryodhana was very diplomatic. But all this diplomacy did not work because Krishna was there. And it's Krishna who withdrew not just enthusiasm, but even their powers, which is explained later, that the Battle of Kurukshetra was actually the plan of Krishna. How? If you go to the end of the first chapter, first verse, in the last paragraph, Sri Prabhupada explains that Krishna, as a gardener, came to remove the weeds from the garden, and he brought new plants like Yudhishthira. And he wanted Yudhishthira to conquer the earth. He did not want demons to conquer. That is why it was the plan of Krishna that everyone was brought into the army on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and then everyone was killed. No one was spared. In the 11th chapter, Krishna says, time I will come to destroy everyone, with the exception of the Pandavas. Everyone will die on both the sides. And that is what happened. It was the plan of Krishna. And what was behind this plan, he wanted all these demonic kings like Kansa, Duryodhana, Jarasan, and many others. They were burden of the earth, and Krishna removed all of them. All of them died. None of them remained. So he wanted a new chapter in the world, and the new chapter headed by Maharaj Yudhishthira. So Krishna is a supreme gardener. He did not take the side of Duryodhana. He took the side of the Pandavas, rather Arjuna. We all know the incident in which there was a kind of a controversy that Duryodhana went to invite Krishna, that you join his side. So Krishna said, I'll decide, you come to me in the morning. When I wake up, if it's the first person I see, I'll take his side. So what happened in the morning? Duryodhana went very early, and at that time Krishna was resting. Actually, Krishna doesn't rest. He pretends that he's resting. And Duryodhana came a little later. Now what happened? Arjun came later. Duryodhana was seated near the face of Krishna, imagine. And Arjun, as he walked in, he knew that Krishna had to sit at his feet. So he sat near the feet of Krishna. And Krishna is very clever. He just rose from the bed, and instead of looking even at Duryodhana, whom naturally he would see first, he looked at the face of Arjuna. Oh, you're already here. Arjuna said, yes, I am here, but even Duryodhana is here. Arjuna is very humble, very straightforward. So Duryodhana became a bit annoyed. He said, I know, you'll not even look at me, you'll not even talk to me, you will not even fight on my side. Krishna said, no, that is not the way. I'll give you two choices. Either you have me or you have my entire army. Krishna's army of Dwarka is called Narayani Sena, the Yadavas. If you want them, if you want my army or you want me, choose. And the foolish Duryodhana said, Krishna is only one. I'll go for the many. And he chose the army. And this is how Krishna, and same question was asked to Arjuna. Which one would you choose? He said, I choose you. So Arjuna's decision or choice was perfect. And because Krishna took the side of Arjuna, there's no question of defeat of Arjuna. And everything was auspicious on the side of Arjuna. His chariot, his special horses, the flag which carried Hanuman. And when Hanuman is there, it means Sita and Ram is there, the goddess of fortune is there. And this chariot itself was donated by the god of fire known as Agni. So no, there's no way Arjun can be defeated. And the conches which were blown on his side were all divine. We can read all this in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, but for the time being, as Rupa Goswami explains, that when you consider Bhishma, Drona, Ashwatthama, and Karna, these are like alligators. You know alligators? What do you call? Like crocodiles. And in front of them, Bhima and Arjuna are nothing. They are like small fish. The crocodile can easily devour a fish or many fish. But because Krishna was on the side of Arjuna, the Pandavas could not be defeated. It's written very nicely that even my hair was not touched by the enemies. So much Krishna protected the Pandavas. All the Pandavas were protected. So some people may ask why. Because much earlier, Krishna's aunt, who is known as Kunti, or the mother of Arjuna, Bhima, and Yudhishthira, he had already promised to Maharani Kunti that nothing will happen to your sons. I promise you. So Krishna had already vowed or promised Mother Kunti that your Pandavas, your sons will come. The way they go is the way they will return. Nobody can harm them. So we all know when Krishna says something, it happens. That's why many times we discuss this verse. Mare Krishna Rakhe Krishna Mareke. If Krishna wants to destroy someone, nobody can help him. And if Krishna wants to protect someone, no one can harm him. So we can also get the same benediction if we become surrendered to Krishna by being devoted to Krishna, especially by practicing our daily bhakti yoga or Krishna consciousness. We also have the same, even in Bhagavad Gita, it says in the 9th chapter that I am equal to everyone. I am not partial to anyone. But whoever renders service to me is a friend to me, and I am a friend to him. So Krishna gives this guarantee to everyone. If you render service to Krishna, Krishna is in your side. Those who don't have, those who have a very weak faith, they think oh, Krishna is punishing me, things are not working my way, I'm working so hard, I'm not getting my results. But if you surrender, these things should not come in your mind. The first thing that should come in your mind, in the mind of a devotee, is everything is going on by the plan of Krishna. And it is by his plan that everything is working. And even if things go wrong, it is his will. And if everything is going right, it is his will. And this is called remaining sama. Sama means equal in all situations. So we find that in all seasons, a devotee is always focused in the service of Krishna. And in order to remain focused in Krishna, you have to remain engaged in devotional service 24 hours a day, not 2 hours, 24 hours a day. It's not easy. Life of devotee is not easy. It's a painful thing. The practice itself is not easy. But at the same time, it is very easy if your faith is very strong. So if our faith is weak, then so many things can run in your mind. But if our faith is strong, then everything goes well. So to keep faith in Krishna, two things are necessary, which we have to do daily. Can anyone say which are these two things we must do every day? In our day-to-day life, two things must be done. Which are they? Anybody likes to try?
Chanting.
Yes, Prabhuji. What is the
Chanting,
answer?
chanting, Prabhuji.
Yeah, one is chanting and the other one?
Hearing.
Hearing.
Bhagavad
Yes.
Gita.
Yes, hearing and chanting, they go side by side. And hearing is very important. Those devotees who don't hear daily, and if you don't have opportunity to hear, but these days there's a lot of opportunity to hear because the technology is very much advanced. We can hear from any part of the world about Krishna. And we have so many devotees speaking about Krishna daily. So you can hear. And if you don't have facility, if you're traveling or doing something, you always carry Bhagavad Gita with you. Keeping a Bhagavad Gita in your hand will help you in Krishna consciousness. Just a minute. So by carrying a Bhagavad Gita in your travel, it will help you. That, for example, you carry a small Bhagavad Gita like this. You always open a page and you'll find that in every page you'll get a guidance, every page. And if one does that, then one will be enthused to chant Hare Krishna. So hearing and chanting go side by side. So these two activities are done by all the devotees. And if you can do more, Prabhupada says, if you're serious about hearing, then also you should write, which will keep your brain very active. At the same time, your memory will be very sharp. Sometimes many devotees complain that I'm reading, but I can't remember. Next day I forget, or maybe the same day I forget. Why? Because they don't write. You have to write. Always keep a pen with you, especially when you're reading. Keep a pen and keep a notebook and write the notes. Then you'll find it helps. And I had already hinted you earlier, these are the actual words of Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada says, when you write on a paper, it gets written in the mind. Now, many people will not believe this. Try it. And you'll find it is true. I myself write before I speak or before, after reading, I do make notes. So these notes will help you remember Krishna. I can't remember or recall, but the name of that person is the Prime Minister or President of one of the South Asian countries. He's 90-year-old, imagine. So once the people who are interviewing him, he says, how come you are running the entire country? And you're an old man. 90 is not a young age. 90-year-old. how come your brain is so active? He said, because I read and I write daily. That's why you find that devotees who are serious about hearing, they'll also write. As far as chanting is concerned, then chanting actually means remembrance of Krishna. It's not a punishment to you. Many people take it like punishment. They want to finish their rounds as quickly as possible and then do anything else. They think chanting is not very important, but chanting is the most important activity of your day-to-day practicing Krishna consciousness. This is the best abhyas. Abhyas means a practice, which will help you control your mind. Nothing else can do that. Simply hearing and chanting, you will able to control your mind. And furthermore, you add one more thing, is take Krishna Prasad. Then nothing can go wrong in your life. So anyway, we're talking about how Krishna plays his role, even in the hearts of all of us. So here Sri Prabhupada also says that physically, for Arjuna to win the battle was not possible. But because of the presence of Krishna, everything became possible. It's very nicely explained for those who read Mahabharata, that there are times when Arjuna went to the most dangerous situations during those 18 days of war. That at times the enemy would be very, very powerful. Like, for example, like he was facing Vishwa. Arjuna is nothing in front of Vishwa, very powerful. And each time when you sent the arrow, these were not normal arrows. Actually, these were missiles. Maybe we see them as arrows. And the mantras were spoken and they were released. And when Krishna is going towards his head, Krishna will sink the chariot down. Or Krishna will take the chariot on the left or to the right. In this way, none of them could touch Arjuna. In one section, it is said that Arjuna was actually almost killed. And Krishna revived Arjuna. So Arjuna could have not physically won the war. It is only because of the presence of Krishna. In a similar way, even in our Krishna consciousness, if we keep Krishna by our side, nothing can go wrong. We may think we are not winning, but we are actually winning. What actually matters in our day-to-day practice is how much enthusiasm we have. A lot of enthusiasm is necessary. And enthusiasm cannot come without hearing or without chanting. Not possible. And devotee association. These three things are very important. It will give you a push and bring you closer and closer to Krishna, so much closer that you can't forget Krishna. So you find those who have dedicated their lives in serving Krishna, Krishna becomes their companion each minute of their life. And even if you are a working person, you may be working, it does not matter. But if your mind is in Krishna, then even the work cannot do any harm to you. Work, sometimes if you're a married man, if you have a family, you need to work. At the same time, you give the results of your work to Krishna. If you go to the 18th chapter, the 18th chapter is called Sannyas Yoga. Means the yoga of renunciation. And it begins with a question. Arjuna asks, what is sannyasa? Means to renounce life. What is tyaga? Tyaga means to renounce. And Krishna explains at length. And you find that all of us, practically every devotee, directly or indirectly, we are attached to something material. And this becomes like a curtain between us and Krishna. We work very hard, but still that love of Krishna does not arise. So many examples are given even in the history of India. I'll give you the history of a king. You may not have heard his name, but He was called Bharatri, King Bharatri, who happened to be the elder brother of the famous king Vikramditya. He is very famous in India, even now. Even in histories of India, he's one of the most famous person, very wise person. So anyway, going to King Bharatri, was a very just king and a very good king. And he ruled very nicely. But he was very attached to his third queen. He had many queens. And the third queen was extremely charming. And the king would get her anything she wants. And king had a lot of love for her. Now one day a devotee was passing there, a Brahmin, a sage was passing, his name was Goraknath. So he lived with the king and he became very pleased with the king. He noticed how just the king is. So he gave him a gift. What was the gift? It was a mystical fruit. And he told the king, eat this fruit and you'll remain young forever. You won't become old. That means you can rule for many, many years. So when he got the fruit in his hand, he came to his room, his palace. Instead of eating the fruit, because he was so attached to his third queen, he gave the fruit to the queen. And king did not know that even the queen had a lover. She was in love with one of the soldiers, one of the guards of the king, one of the security persons of the king, whom she loved very much. So this fruit was given to her. Now she thought, oh, what will I do with this fruit? I don't want to live long. Instead, I'll give it to my lover. So she gave it to that guard, thinking that if the guard remains young, he'll take my care. King is going to die someday, but he's going to take care of me. But the guard had a very strong attachment with one prostitute, a very beautiful prostitute. So he gave that fruit to the prostitute. And the prostitute, when she got the fruit, she looked at the fruit and started contemplating. If I eat this fruit, I'll remain young. It means I have to do this dirty work of prostitution for all of my life. I don't want to do this dirty work. She was at least wise. Instead, let me give this back. Let me give this to the king. So she brought this beautiful, this mystical fruit to the king. And when the king was given the fruit, the king was shocked and amazed. Who gave you this fruit? He says, King, please eat this fruit and live longer, remain young forever. I was gifted by your guard. So the guard was summoned, and the guard was asked, where did you get the fruit? He says, your queen gave me the fruit. And then the queen was asked, why did you give the fruit to him? And then all the secret was revealed. What is the effect of the secret? That king was deeply in love with his queen, but the queen, on the other hand, was not deeply in love with the king. She was in love with someone else. And this brought about a detachment, a renunciation in his life. That is, in the matter of days, he gave up the kingdom to his younger brother Vikramditya, who in short is called King Vikram. And he went to the forest to meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is a real historical point if you study the Indian history. And in India, as they say, that in the 70s or in the 60s, this story of King Vikramditya, of Bharatri, was made into a drama. And when it was staged as a drama, many people did not return home. They left their wives and went away. So imagine the effect of the drama. In a similar way, if you hear the renunciation of such kings, who are we that we give up everything to Krishna? The Bhagavatam said that King Bharat, at the age of 24, he gave up the kingdom to meditate upon Krishna. And he was so qualified. Already he was engaged in devotional service. It was just a step away. And he made one small mistake, that in that life he could not go to Krishna. Anybody knows what mistake King Bharata made? Everybody knows the story of King Bharata.
Yes, Prabhuji, he got attached to a small deer. He saw the
Yeah.
deer's mother being
He
killed.
fell for a deer.
Yeah.
And though he had given a beautiful wife, children, kingdom, big name, in fact, the whole empire of the earth, because he was the emperor of the earth, but he became attached to deer. And many people ask, how come he fell for a deer? There was only one reason why he fell for a deer. Because when he went to the forest, he could have taken some Brahmins with him, some devotees with him. He was a king. But he thought, I can do it myself. He had no association. That's why he fell for the deer. Had he any association, people would have helped us. That's why in our Krishna consciousness, we never do anything alone. We always do it in the company of devotees to make sure we are not making any mistakes. Because we can forget mistakes, we can become deviated. But if you have a devotee company, they'll point out, oh, Prabhu, you are making this mistake. Don't do this. And they can help you from occasional fall down. Chanting also. You find that when you're chanting, if you are chanting in the group of devotees, there is no question of going to sleep or losing your enthusiasm. You will remain awake and fully enthused in your chanting, your japa. This is the beauty of having an association, even while chanting. And even while hearing Bhagavatam. When you hear Bhagavatam, you don't read alone. Of course, for your studies, you can read alone. But if you sit in the Bhagavatam class, there's a group of devotees. And in the 9 out of 10 cases, at the end of the Bhagavatam, there's always questions. And when there's questions and answers are discussed, so many things come up, which we don't know, and we learn them. So this is called sadhu sang. Sadhu sang means association of devotees. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that even a split of a second of association with a sadhu can change your life. Sadhu sang, sarva shastra kahe. Lava matra sadhu sang, sarva siddhi hai. Lava matra means even a split of a second. If you have association with sadhu, your life can change for a better change, which is to engage in devotional service very strongly. So it's very, very important that even in the case of Arjuna, why he won? Because he is association of devotee. He was the supreme personality of Godhead, which Arjuna knew it very well. And Arjuna even very well knows that without Krishna, he could have been destroyed or he could have been killed long, long back, even maybe on the first day. But all the 5 Pandavas, even though their army was smaller, they won the war battle because Krishna was on their side. So Arjuna, being a devotee, he would remember everything. And everything was done by Krishna to make sure that the Pandavas win the war. And if you read the Mahabharata, by hook and crook, we can say the Pandavas won it. Sometimes people say, oh, they cheated, they did this, but Krishna gave a reasoning for each one of them. For example, when it came to face Bhishma, an idea was used that they brought, I forget the name, is also Draupadi's brother, not Drashdyumna. What is the name of in his previous life was a woman.
Shikhandi.
Yeah, Shikhandi. So when Shikhandi was standing next to Arjuna, because Bhishma had a memory of 100 previous lives. Imagine, not an ordinary person. Upon seeing Shikhandi, he could remember, this is not a man. This is Amba. In the previous life, is a lady, Amba, with whom there was some not a good thing happened. And she had come to take a revenge. And the whole idea was to kill Bhishma. So when it came, Shikandi, when he came, Bhishma put his weapons down. And Krishna tells Arjuna, pick your weapons, shoot him. This is the opportunity. He says, that's not fair. He said, forget fairness. Just go ahead and do it. Because when it came to killing Abhimanyu, they did not care for fairness. Why should you care at this time? He said, but he's my grandfather. He said, on the battlefield, there's no relatives. It's just your enemy. So go ahead. That is one case. Even killing of Karna. He was changing his will. Krishna said, shoot, this is the opportunity. And if you lose this opportunity, Karna is going to kill you. And Arjuna shot him. So in this way, there were so many chances that the Pandavas would have been killed long, long ago. It is only because of the presence of Krishna. And it was a plan of Krishna that the war be won. I mean, the battle of Kurukshetra or the Mahabharata be won by the Pandavas so that Yudhishthira can be installed as a king, because he was the most qualified person on the entire planet to rule this planet from Hastinapur. So these are the main points in this verse. The main thing we can learn is Arjuna remembering all those things, how Krishna was by his side and how he won the war. Still, there are a couple of verses which still continue to explain the same point, that because of two qualifications, Krishna took the side of Arjuna. One, he was a friend of Krishna, very close friend of Krishna. The second, he was a devotee of Krishna's. So in two qualifications, if someone has, it means he has two relationships with Krishna. Nothing can go wrong. That's why Sri Prabhupada in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita says, at least we should have one relationship with Krishna and remain firm in our devotional service. And the same point is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that minimum we must have one relation with Krishna. And this relationship is tied by the guidance or by the instructions of a pure devotee, generally a spiritual master. Jivira Sarupai, Krishna Nityadas, Krishna Tatashta Bheda Abheda Prakash. That we are already bound to Krishna, and it's upon us to serve his internal energy or to external energy. And we are already in his prakash. It means we are already bound to Krishna. It's just like looking everywhere else. We just should look at Krishna. That is the whole meaning. And that is what Arjuna did. He was always thinking of Krishna, looking at Krishna, and he won the war. Oh, sorry, the time is already up. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your nice and wonderful class. Okay, Prabhuji, here Arjun told, and he also told how by the Krishna's mercy, by his guidance, he can conquer the Bhishma, Karna, Drona, Shalya, etc. and win this Kurukshetra war battlefield. Also, Krishna told, Jada Jada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskrutam. But the thing is that we can understand they are the duskrutas, they are the mudhas, so that by Krishna's instruction, it was they are died, they are killed. But what about the Sukrutas like Abhimanyu and others? They are in the Pandava side. They are also killed, but they are not
Yes.
Duskruta. Why it has happened?
Yes, there are reasons explained for all of them why they had to die. For example, one of the main shocking things is the sons of Draupadi.
Draupadi,
Yeah,
yes.
5 sons. They were all killed, and they were killed in cold blood. So
Yes.
it is all the plan of Krishna that they should be killed. And being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he did not spare anyone except the Pandavas. So we cannot say why they were killed, because it was a plan of Krishna. And I think in one of the classes I had already explained why Abhimanyu was killed in a young age. So I think you know the reason why. The reason I can explain you in a very brief way, that before even Krishna came, he requested all the demigods to become his companions on the earth and play their roles. And Abhimanyu is the son of moon god, known as Varchas. And the moon god said, I have only one son and I cannot live without my son. So Krishna says only for a short time. The moment he reaches 16 years, earthly years, he'll go back, he'll come back to you. So though Abhimanyu seems to be killed, no, actually Abhimanyu went back to his father. So everyone is doing the role, which Krishna's, as per Krishna's plan. It's okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
Okay.
Prabhuji, another doubt is that one. I heard in Mahabharata, except Yudhishthira Maharaj, all are falling down. They are not also heavenly planet. It was told only Yudhishthira Maharaj reached in the heavenly planet. What is the truth? It is correct or is it wrong, or what is this?
Well, in the Mahabharata's opinion, there is something like that everyone fall down. And in some Mahabharata, they even say that Yudhishthira once spoke an indirect lie, in which he put his fingers in the ears. He didn't want to speak. So his fingers got melted, 2 fingers. So it's only a way to explain to us that the law of karma. But if you go to Bhagavatam, it is not like that. In the Bhagavatam and also in the lecture of Sri Prabhupada, they say that the Pandavas did go to Himalaya. And on the Himalayas, different demigods came and offered place to the Pandavas. For example, like Indra said, come to the habits. Yudhishthira said no. Even Brahma said, come to my planet. He said no. He said, where are you going then? He said, we want to go to Krishna. So all the Pandavas went there with their original bodies back to Krishna. And there's another explanation also that when Yudhishthira went back, he was asking, where are my brothers? So Krishna says, which brothers are you talking about? He says, the Kauravas, because Yudhishthira is Ajata Shastru. He has no enemies at all. There's no enemy born for Yudhishthira. He says, they can't come here. They are in the hell. He says, then take me to hell. And of course, that story explained also, I don't know if it's bona fide or not, but I have heard it. When we take the opinion of the Vaishnavas said, the Pandavas went, and even before the Pandavas reached Krishna's planet, Draupadi and Subhadra were already there, because they were actually goddesses of fortune. These are not ordinary ladies. So we take the opinion of Sri Prabhupada that they returned back to Krishna when they finish their earthly past, and because they are also associates of Krishna, Parsad of Krishna. And Chaitanya Charitamrita says Arjun comes many, many times with Krishna, especially Arjuna. Like he came as Nara in the Nanarajya. Yeah, that is same Arjuna. Then Arjuna also came as Ramanand Rai. Sometimes Ramanand Rai also is said to be Vishaka. So many roles all devotees play when they come with Krishna. And who knows that many of us, or maybe some of us, I would pray all of us that someday we become pure devotees. And we'll also realize that we are also part and parcels of Krishna, and we are also the associates of Krishna. It will be revealed to us, provided we remain firm in our devotional service. Very, very important. It's okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, yes. Okay, Prabhuji, what happened about all the soldiers died in front of Krishna? They are reaching
It's explained a few verses back. They all went back. They all were reinstated in their original position. All those who died in the matter of Mahabharata, they all went back home, back to God.
It means Golok Vrindavan.
All
Golok
of them.
Vrindavan.
Yes,
Oh.
Vaikuntha. Well, it's not written Golok Vrindavan, but it's written that they got liberated forever. That means they went to Vaikuntha.
Vaikuntha, yes.
Anyone who saw Krishna, anyone who died in the presence of Krishna, they all got liberation. It's already explained some purpose back. By the
Yes.
merciful glance of Krishna. Okay? Some
Yes,
lady
Prabhuji.
Panchali, you can ask a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. So my question is related to what you just explained, Prabhuji. So in Golok Vrindavan, so there's Krishna, there's Radharani, there's Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Mother as well, or all of them that as we see in Vrindavan. And we see that when Krishna actually comes as himself on material earth, as he did in Dwapar Yuga, he's able to, he doesn't have to leave his original Golok Vrindavan because Krishna is able to be in multiple places at the same time as himself. So does that mean that when his associates come, who are also highly elevated devotees, and they also have spiritual bodies, apart from Krishna, nobody else is able to have, has the ability to be at several places at the same time? Because does that mean that Radharani had to leave Golok Vrindavan, Yashoda Mother had to leave Vrindavan, the spiritual worlds? But there's also, I mean, I don't know, maybe I heard in some other class, and correct me if I'm wrong, Prabhuji, what I heard was that in the spiritual world, in the palace, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mother and Radharani and all of them, and Krishna himself, he would love to hear the pastimes that they perform in the material world, and that was one of their ways of entertaining themselves. They love to hear what they as themselves did in the material world. So how do we recognize which souls are awarded or given the opportunity by Krishna to exist in several worlds at the same time, apart from himself, and which of his associates actually have to leave their spiritual world and come to the material world? So is there a defined way of making that distinction?
Yes, there's an explanation given that when you talk of all these pure liberated souls, we can't even just call them pure liberated. We can call them that they are parcel, the associates of Krishna. When Krishna wants, he comes with them. And even before Krishna goes, they are already sent back. So they come and play different roles. Like most of our Goswamis, they were all either gopis or manjaris or any of them. They came and played their Leela in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime. And all the associates at the time of Krishna were also from there. So all of them are pure devotees. They come and play a certain role to teach us one thing, is to surrender to Krishna. Surrender is the beginning, and finally to love Krishna, so that you can go back home, back to Godhead. So the easiest, the simplest answer to your question is that once you are reinstated back in your constitutional position, you do not come to the material world. If you come with Krishna, and you go back to Krishna with them.
Okay, I understand. Yes, Prabhuji, I understand now. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other question? Okay, so we all prepare for tomorrow. Tomorrow is Lord Meshiga appearance day. So I'd like to pray for, I wish all of you the best, that we celebrate the day very nicely, very, very powerful day for all our devotees. We pray Lord Meshiga Day to protect our devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you very much for your blessing.
Hare Krishna.
So, everyone, please unmute yourself and chant Hare Krishna mantra for glorification of His blessed Rukma Prabhuji. Please join. Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
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 Rama, Hare Hare.
Vancha
Vancha kalpa
Hare.
tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Fresh Rukma Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, everyone.